Gable, and in this video I'm going to be walking you through my analysis of Jada Pinkett Smith's birth chart. It's been nearly 2 months since Will Smith slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars. I've already made a video on my analysis of Will Smith's birth chart in relation to the incident, and I've also made a video on Chris Rock's birth chart as requested by Jessica B. Million. I will have the links to those other videos in the cards in the top right corner of this video, as well as in the description box. Jessica also asked me to make a video on the incident from Jada Pinkett Smith's perspective, and it's taken me a while, but at long last, here it is. I'm going to be exploring 3 different parts of Jada Pinkett Smith's chart. Firstly, I'm going to explore her first house of health, which she clearly doesn't have enough fuel for, or else she wouldn't be suffering from alopecia. Then I'm going to take a look at her 7th house, which deals with all committed long-term relationships, but particularly marriage. And then I'm going to compare Jada Pinkett Smith's marriage blueprint with Will Smith's marriage blueprint to find the root cause of the issues that they're having. Jada Pinkett Smith's first house of health and physical appearance is ruled by her Jupiter in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a mutable sign, so she has a mutable approach to her physical well-being. A mutable approach is focused completely on the present moment. Just like everything in astrology, this has its pros and its cons. A major pro that I can see is that she has no tendency to be a hypochondriac. But a big con that I can see is that she's not likely to prioritize preventative care. Sagittarius is also a fire sign, which means that she needs fire fuel to experience health and vitality. Now, because her Jupiter is in her 12th house, which is ruled by her Mars in Aquarius, she needs twice the amount of fire fuel that she thinks she does in order to experience radiant health. One of the best ways to get fire fuel is to do a workout outdoors in the sunshine. But just being out in the sun on its own, as well as exercising on its own, can generate fire fuel. Another thing I noticed in Jada's chart that is fascinating to me is that her Jupiter is very tightly conjunct her Neptune. Neptune is the planet of fantasy, illusions, and delusions. And I'll talk more about what this conjunction means towards the end of this video, but for now I wanted to mention that this could mean that Jada doesn't always see her physical body how it really is. It's likely that she has an overly optimistic view of it. Maybe she has a tendency to think that she's already radiantly healthy, when other people can clearly see that she has some room for improvement. This, of course, makes it difficult for her to take good care of herself because she's not dealing with the reality of her current physical state. So now I want to explore Jada's 7th house of marriage. I thought this would be interesting to include because, as we all know, Jada and Will have had their issues in the past and might even be having some issues right now. So her 7th house is ruled by her Mercury in Virgo. Virgo is another mutable sign, so she has a mutable approach to both her health and physical appearance and her marriage and all relationships in her life. So again, this means that she's solely concerned with the current state of her marriage, not how it's been in the past or worried about how it might be in the future. And of course, this has its pros and cons in this context as well. Virgo is an earth sign, so she needs earth fuel to have healthy, supportive, balanced relationships. And because of the way her birth chart is set up, she'll need twice the amount of earth fuel she thinks she needs to experience healthy relationships, just like she needed twice the amount of fire fuel she thinks she needs in order to experience radiant health. A few simple ways to get earth fuel are to spend some time enjoying nature, practicing mindful eating, or even simply noticing where your body is touching the ground. It's also interesting to note that Mercury also rules Jada's 10th house of public image and reputation. This indicates that when things aren't going right in her 10th house, which is whenever she's getting bad publicity, that's going to drain resources she needs for her marriage. So if the press isn't depicting her very positively, her marriage is going to suffer. So she needs to have a strong, positive reputation in order for her marriage to be strong and positive. So in summary, in order to maintain a healthy relationship, Jada needs to focus on getting a lot of earth fuel and also focus on improving her reputation in the eyes of the general public. So now I want to get into the compatibility between Jada and Will's birth charts. The first thing to consider is the compatibility of their moons. The moon represents your subjective safety needs, what you need to feel safe. Safety is a major contributor to the health of any relationship, so it's an important consideration when you're looking at compatibility. I now have Will Smith's chart up on the screen, and his moon is in Scorpio, which is a fixed water sign. And now looking back at Jada's chart, her moon is in Virgo, which is a mutable earth sign. These two signs have nothing in common. They don't share a modality or an element. So this means that Jada and Will probably don't feel safe with each other. What makes Will feel safe and relaxed isn't what makes Jada feel safe and relaxed, and vice versa. Another major part of compatibility is the compatibility of two people's Venuses. Venus represents a person's validation needs, and this of course is essential to a healthy relationship. But luckily, Jada and Will's Venuses are both in Libra. Even though their Venuses aren't conjunct, they're in the same sign. So what makes Will feel loved and how he expresses love is the same thing that makes Jada feel loved. So whilst Jada and Will may not always feel safe around each other, they always feel loved. And this is probably why, despite the rockiness of their relationship, it still lasted. It just means that both of them will have to put a lot of attention and energy towards making sure their safety needs are met. Now things are going to get really interesting because I'm going to compare Jada's marriage blueprint with Will Smith's marriage blueprint. Everyone has a marriage blueprint in their birth chart, which represents how they perceive their mother and their father on a subconscious level. It's got nothing to do with who their parents really are, how their parents really treated them, or how their parents' marriage really was. It's all about their subconscious perceptions of it, which were developed when they were very young, before they could even speak. And the reason why the marriage blueprint is so important is that is the relationship dynamic that a person will subconsciously play out in their own relationships. I explored Will Smith's marriage blueprint in the video I did on his birth chart, but I'll just mention here again that the planet that represents his perception of his father, and also the role he'll subconsciously play out in his own marriage, is his sun in Libra. And the planet that represents his perception of his mother, and how he'll perceive his wife, is his Saturn in Aries. Both of these planets are debilitated in the signs they're in, which indicates that he'll subconsciously play out a marriage in which neither the man nor the woman has a lot of power or control. This is not a healthy dynamic in any way. So this is something that Will Smith will have to actively work to change. In Jada's marriage blueprint, the planet that represents her perception of her father is her Jupiter in Sagittarius, which is also the ruler of her house of health, as I mentioned earlier. And Jupiter in Sagittarius is in the sign it rules, so it's very strong and powerful. And the planet that represents her perception of her mother and the role she'll take on as a wife is her Mercury in Virgo, which, as I mentioned earlier, is the ruler of her 7th house of marriage. And that's also in the sign it rules, so it's also very strong and powerful. So Will Smith's marriage blueprint is the complete opposite of Jada's. In her marriage blueprint, both of the people involved are strong and powerful, and they work together as the ultimate power couple. So Jada's marriage blueprint is healthy, and she doesn't need to change it. This makes it clear that Will is subconsciously sabotaging an otherwise healthy marriage, or at least a marriage with a healthy foundation. One of the things that Will have to do to consciously change his marriage blueprint is get a lot of the air fuel he needs for his son, which represents the role he plays in his marriage. I mentioned a few ways to get air fuel in the video I did on his chart, but I'll mention here again that one of the easiest and fastest ways to get air fuel is to take a few deep breaths. All that being said, whatever issues they're having in their marriage are not entirely Will's fault. I already addressed her 7th house of marriage and a few of the reasons why she might not have enough fuel to maintain a healthy marriage. And I also addressed that her moon is not compatible with Will's, so she'll need to spend a little bit more energy on making sure her safety needs are met outside of the relationship. But I think the root cause of the issue here is the conjunction between Jada's Jupiter and Neptune. Her Jupiter plays a very important role in this analysis. Not only is it the planet that represents her perception of her father and the role she'll subconsciously expect her husband to fulfill, but it's also the ruler of her 1st house of health and physical appearance, an area where she obviously needs a bit more fuel right now. Whenever you have a personal planet conjunct Neptune, especially that tightly conjunct, it means that you may not always see that part of your life clearly. You're likely to have overly optimistic, overly idealistic perceptions of that area of your life. What I'm guessing is the root cause of their marriage issues is that Will is playing out his unhealthy marriage blueprint in which both people are weak and powerless, while Jada is expecting him to be her equally powerful co-ruler. But she's probably not even disappointed that he's not fulfilling that role because of this Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. She's probably believing that he is that powerful co-creator that she expects him to be. The problem might actually be that Will feels that she's expecting a lot more from him than he can give because he doesn't see himself as strong and powerful as she does. This Neptune conjunction is a pretty serious issue because it means that Jada constantly sees their relationship as healthy and equal, which means she won't feel the need to make any changes or work on improving it. This puts the health of their entire relationship on Will's shoulders. But at the same time, if Will airs any grievances he has about their marriage, she might think he's exaggerating or trying to make a problem where none really exist. So I'm seeing that Jada and Will have some real potential as a couple, but they're not fulfilling that potential for 2 reasons. One, Jada's Jupiter-Neptune conjunction is preventing her from seeing the situation clearly, and therefore she's not going to be willing to make any changes. And 2, Will has a lot of work to do to consciously change his marriage blueprint to a healthier and more supportive one. If you have any questions about anything I've covered in this video, leave them in a comment below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your suggestions for which celebrities to analyze the birth charts of next. So if you have any thoughts, share them in the comments below. By the way, I now have a community section on my channel, which I'm so excited about because it enables me to interact with all you guys, not just in the comments section. I'm considering starting up a second channel dedicated to just astrology videos. I just made a post on the community tab about this decision, so I'd love it if you would head on over there and let me know what you think. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you on my channel again soon.